Welcome and blessings in the name of Jesus. Hopefully, his name is not giving you allergic reactions. And if it did, then hopefully you get to find deliverance in time and you get to be free. So, we're here to talk about the woke agenda, the far left, radical left, Delulu paradigm that has been completely obliterating the impressionable minds of young gamers and non-gamers on Twitch. Twitch, the place where you can freely promote and propagate terrorism, no matter which terrorist organization you're playing videos of and calling them music videos. And Twitch, the platform where Israel IPs were banned for over a year. I don't even know if they allowed them again. I don't know what's going on with that. What's going on with that, Dan Clancy? Did you allow Israelis back into Twitch, or is this a platform only for non-Jewish, non-Israeli people? Twitch, the place where if you disagree with people's propaganda, you are labeled with the same sticker that they were trying to label the other person with. And now you're called a fascist, even though your grandparents, your grandma, could have been a survivor of World War II Holocaust. But no, you're a fascist because you disagreed with an opinion stated as a fact. And you know how when people start talking about facts as opinions, then you're being lied to. But talking about opinions as facts, that's a slippery slope right there. And especially if you want to stay in contact and have normal conversation with people while agreeing to disagree. No, ma'am. You will be blocked. You will be banned. Immediately, you will be called a fascist for disagreeing. And yes, conversation is not allowed because guess what is the most dangerous things to a delusion? The truth. The truth doesn't mind being questioned. The lie, though, the lie has to be protected, right? You have to keep the lie alive. And that's what people do. And it's sad to me to see that people that I respected and liked as gamers, that I was not interested in their political opinion whatsoever, engage in this type of behavior on Twitch, unceremoniously completely banning people from chat for daring to have an opinion and not catering to their mods' propaganda. And I'm talking about propaganda. It's quite insane. And at the same time, the same group of people will send money to questionable organizations that are later found, and have been told that this was the case at the time, to have connections with UNRWA. And UNRWA having not connections, but being almost mutually exclusive with a certain Hamas organization that I'm sure you all have heard about. You guys sent money to that. You funded that. And I know you love to translate it to people that you sent money to people in need. If only that would true, I'll be the happiest person. But you sent money to terrorist organizations. The same group that collectively, with or without knowing, but the people on top knew what they were doing, sent money as US aid to various countries in the world. And of course, some of it was sent to Hamas as well. Isn't it funny how you can call people fascists when you're openly supporting terrorism, and what they did was disagree with your opinion that having borders is fascism? Let me tell you something. I was born and grew up in Bulgaria. I learned history in school. Our Bulgarian education system is a very in-depth. We actually learn about history and geography and even a little bit of politics, not only of our own place, but around the world. But our history is very, very important to know and remember because we we, the white people here, yeah, were, clip that. We, the white people right here, were slaves for 500 years under the Ottoman Empire, which was radical Islam. And my ancestors, who refused to give up Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, were tortured to death. A lot of them were beheaded. So this is your white Christian girl that you call a fascist, who's also had roots that survived the Holocaust. By the way, Bulgaria, one of only 2 countries that actually saved the Jews during World War II. You want to call us fascists? We have to uphold our boundaries. Having boundaries does not make you a fascist. Having borders at the end of your country and the beginning of the other country does not make you a fascist. You know what it seems to me like, this whole collective behavior of wokeism, which woke but not awake, it's a little bit like the narcissistic personality disorder. The moment you say no and you assert a boundary, you are labeled the bad guy. And you're smeared. You're smeared to the depths of it, whether or not any of the facts that they claim are true. It doesn't matter to the people who are the flying monkeys on the side. They would just agree and comply because, God forbid, they're not popular anymore and not accepted, because when you're empty inside, that's what you fear the most, being rejected by your peers, right? Are those really your peers though? Because the moment that you disagree with their opinion, you would be completely silenced. Those are not your friends. And if you dare have an opinion, this is what happens. Now, this is not new to me. As they say in the South, this is not my first rodeo. It's probably not going to be my last, not by a long shot. But I am not afraid of this, and I am not afraid of exposing filth when I see it. And by filth, I don't mean the people themselves. I love the people from afar, I pray for them. By filth, I mean their behavior sometimes. And to me, Twitch allowing people like Hassan Piker to radicalize millions of young boys and girls watching his streams, completely obliterating their minds with straight up lies and propaganda and hate, teaching dehumanization of other races and ethnicities, glorifying violence against other human beings who have done nothing to you. It's absolutely unacceptable. And when I did my anti-Semitism video about Twitch the last month or so, I didn't think that I would be addressing this subject again. But it is what it is. And let me tell you, these people who propagate terrorism, they're not interested in peace. Because you know what happens when you talk about peace with them? You get banned. But hey, if you want to send them money, for the propagation of war, so the war can never end and just continue, they're as happy as the next Joe Biden being free finally. The moment you face the lie with a fact, you're called a liar. So let me tell you what's really happening here. Again, a little juxtaposition with the mental state of narcissistic personality disorder. It's not just gaslighting, it's the absolute projection. You pick a target, you know what your agenda is, you know it's dirty, and then you blame the target of your own agenda. Ethnic cleansing, they're doing ethnic cleansing. Genocide, they're doing genocide. Fascism, they're doing fascism. Let me tell you about silencing the opposition. I felt it for the last 4 years. This is fascism. Fascism is not sending away people who have committed terrible crimes against your own people and were in your state illegally. Those are criminals, and they're not your own responsibility. Why would you send them to prison and feed them with the taxes of your own people? They should go back to where they came from and be dealt there with whatever justice system that they have there. That's not fascism, that's common sense. And if you don't agree with me, why are your doors in your home locked? No answer. You want to claim to be woke, but you're not awake. You're living in a feverish, delusional dream. And you'd rather project your own actions, the crimes of your people, onto the target that you've selected as a victim, who is now the fascist and all these things. This whole cancel culture, it sounds to me a little bit like a cult. There's no culture in it. Silencing people, smearing them for things that might have said or might have not said, twisting their words. That is absolutely disgusting human behavior. And you banning me is not going to stop me from standing for the truth. You know what? It might even make the truth louder, because what you resist persists. At least that's what the New Agers say. The whole virtue signaling. There's no virtue, but you're definitely signaling to your own cult members that you're one of them. For years, I had no idea that one of these girls was in that ideology. But hey, being a Hassan orbiter can really brainwash you. And it is truly sad to me, not anything other than sad. I feel sad that they've been lied to successfully and brainwashed to such a degree that they really comply with this fascist really agenda. For every streamer, you have the right to control who is in your chat and who's not. My chat knows it. I literally had to ban a person recently for a whole different reason. I don't allow pedophilia in my chat. I don't like jokes to minors in my chat being sexual. That's absolutely unacceptable. Does that make me a fascist too? Am I fascist for calling the rapists rapists? Not related to the chat story. Completely separate. Am I a fascist for supporting the fact that a whole country voted for one of the two presidents and he won? How is that being a dictator? That's not what dictatorship is like. That's not what fascism is like. And I know that you love dehumanizing people and calling them by colors of skin and making fun of the way that they look. But honestly, that just reflects to everybody around you who is open ears to hear that you feel like nothing inside, that you have to insult the next person to feel better with yourself. Going back to the mental state of people again, because if you have to lie to yourself and control the voices that you hear to such a tunneled vision version of reality, then you're not just being lied to, you're lying to yourself. You're a volunteer in this. And you, my friend, are getting lost. And this is why I started my video with the way I started it. Because Jesus said, they hate you because they hated me first. A lot of these people hate Jesus. A lot of them love to blaspheme, joke about him, openly talk about their deplorable behavior, which, hey, I'm not judging. I was an atheist. I've done things. All of us are sinners. I am not holier than thou. God knows that. But I'm just seeing the themes out there and noticing them, and it's pretty simple. A lot of them might claim to be Christians. I would like to inspect their lives closer. If that is the case, then hey, you're closer to God than the others. Talk about him. Help people get saved. Don't let them live in a delusion, especially not in the great delusion. And if you truly are a Christian, then you know what that means. I am not here to be a Bible thumper. I am not here to preach about Jesus where it's not the place or time for it. But I cannot ignore the fact that he's the cornerstone of everything that happens, whether we have the eyes to see it or not. And as a person who believes in the truth, I speak of experiences. I rarely go online and record myself in videos talking about mere ideas and philosophies that I've not researched. When I spoke about anti-Semitism, I spoke of my experiences. When I spoke about Hamas and rockets, I speak of my experiences. I have lived it, I have seen it, I have the right to speak about it in the truthful way. People who are far away, who have read maybe 2 or 3 sheets of propaganda, heard some of their mutual friends talk about it in a very confident way, because a lot of them get paid, think that they've done their research for 10 minutes and they have higher right to talk about things that we have lived. That is not how the truth goes. And since we're talking about truth, I have some videos here to show you.
To help disabled people in Tajikistan become climate leaders. They spent another $1 million for Hamas, a Hamas-linked charity, and they spent $15 million for contraceptives and condoms in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. Now,
this is just a little bit of a segment of where the US aid money went. Let's talk about UNRWA for a second. UNRWA and PCRF are linked, so if you donated money to PCRF, maybe some of the money that you donated went to UNRWA. Let's hear about it.
It has grave concerns about whether they are still alive. Former hostage Daniela Gilboa.
This is a Bulgarian citizen
I knew the only
who
thing
was
that
just
could
released.
save us was faith. She waited for the moment she could recite the prayer of thanksgiving in her synagogue. President Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff met with some of the released hostages.
Listen up.
And we have a common goal to bring everybody home.
Some were also held in United Nations Relief and Works Agency facilities. Israel has now banned UNRWA activities in Israel. It's Israel's most extensive action against the UN agency yet. CBN News has reported for years how UNRWA's curriculum teaches generation of Palestinian children
for
to
decades.
fight for Israel's destruction.
We've known about
the war
this.
in Gaza also exposed the incestuous relationship between UNRWA and the terror group Hamas, where many UNRWA employees work for Hamas and shared UNRWA facilities.
And there's videos to prove it. So that's where your money went. Lovely donators of Twitch. Whether you knew it or not, I feel responsible to show you the truth. Especially when people make me raid other people and then we go into a channel that does exactly that.
Okay, well, yes, we are going to be doing a charity stream. If you would like to donate, you're more than welcome to. But how are you doing? Are you all right? And I hope everyone knows that we are trying to help as much as we can.
Yes,
on our
sure.
ends over here.
Funding terrorism, that's help now.
For something better to happen. Can we talk about that for a little bit? So yeah, on Sunday we're going to be doing our charity stream. Let's see. Hold on. Just catch up very quickly.
And this is where I asked her, how did they make sure that the money really goes to the children and not the bad guys? I think it's an important question to ask.
How do they, so Daya Sims asked, how do they make sure the money really goes to the children and not to the bad guys? Well, they actually used to have a hospital that in Palestine which got bombed. They used to be the, what was it? It was the cancer department or the ward for pediatric cancer patients, and they got bombed. It's been known, they've been a very well-known, verified, established. It's hard for the resources to get across, but I know it's still getting across. They've been providing bottles of water and stuff, all of that, all of those things.
My message right there was, didn't the terrorist organization use the
Well, let's
hospital
see.
for
Oh, I love
holding
this song.
hostages
Deism says,
there and firing rockets from there, which was shown many, many times with videos and evidence. And the whole thing about Israel bombing the hospital was debunked the same day. There were many, many videos that debunked it. Even news channels went back and apologized and fixed it. But this is months after this happened, or at least weeks after this happened. I can't really remember the date when the hospital was bombed. And she was still trying to sell the propaganda lie that Israel bombed the hospital.
didn't the organization use the hospital for holding the hostages there and firing rockets from there? That has been disproven.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, that was widely disproven.
No, it hasn't, darling.
So, no. No, that wasn't the case. Yeah, no, that was already widely disproven. That was just kind of a ruse to bomb the hospitals. So yeah, so that's
Imagine
basically
having a
what's been
ruse
happening
like
with
that just to bomb a hospital. That would be so evil to even think about.
So this is what we're going to be doing on Sunday for anyone that wants to join in. So for every donation that we receive, your name's going to go on a big board that I'm going to be doing and a bunch of other stuff.
I'm sorry, I just can't. Imagine being that focused on virtue signaling, whether you're deluded knowingly or not. So focused on the money that you can't even have a conversation about the truth. All you have to say is that this is debunked and that's it. And I was trying to have a conversation there to maybe try and gauge if this girl is truthful and just maybe, you know, she's been lied to and maybe kind of like wake her up with a little bit of questions and make her want to research it herself and look for the truth. But no, at this point, I'm pretty sure she knows exactly what it is. She's just like very gentle spoken and well articulated and pleasant overall for viewers to listen to, hopefully watch as well, and then seems like a pro thing the way she's doing it, spreading the propaganda and lying to people, and now lying to my people as well, because I literally was just forced to raid with 16 or so people into, and I respect and love my community very much. I don't want anyone to be lied to, definitely not used for their money, and definitely not put lies in their minds. So this is why my reaction to this is so strong, and I feel repulsed by this intellectual dishonesty.
Of these things, I kind of wrote the details in. But yeah, this is what we're hoping to do. Our goal is $500, but if we do reach more than $500, we have some.
So I did respond to her. I did say there were videos of it. As someone who's also lived there and had friend murdered on the 7th of October by those people, I truly hope that the kids get the funding from my heart and not anyone else.
I'm going to be doing some extra painting.
To which I don't even know if she responded.
Yeah, we're going to do some paintings of the top donators.
No one else is saying anything. Everybody's like buying the agenda.
Stream with onions because I love onions. Daya says I have to go to sleep now. Enjoy your
So I just said I have to go to sleep now, enjoy your stream, and left.
Sorry, I didn't get to read all of your messages yet. Yes, it is directly going to the kids. Well, it's going to the organization that.
Yeah, the organization that funnels money to Hamas.
I understand your worries and your concerns, but they have been known to actually provide the help to the kids. So I get your worries. I have done my research, and that is where it's going.
Not enough research, apparently.
From, though, and I am sorry.
So this is on the day of the actual donation.
That's very nice of you, especially because we had somebody come in the other day that was not in support of what we were raising money for. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So
imagine not being in support of sending money to a terrorist, actually saying that you wish the money was going to the children, and you're still the bad guy.
I'm glad that there's people that are willing to donate and are happy. But that's okay. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Let's see.
Terrorism support is what it is.
Awesome. Okay, so for anyone that has a glass of anything that's not water, because water is bad luck. We don't want to toast. We toast Daya Sims. Also, am I pronouncing your name correctly? I'm not sure if it's Daya or if it's Daya. What are you choosing?
Imagine the pronunciation of my name mattering more than where you're sending that money and what it's going to be used for, actually.
I'm gonna give you, which is basically just giving a nice little compliment.
And here I
Yeah.
actually asked her
All right, let me get these
to
glasses
toast
on.
for peace instead of
Okay.
war. Because, you know, sending money to terrorism
All right.
only feeds
So
the war.
for
Let's have
anyone,
peace
again,
instead.
feel free to raise your glass with me. With the, I love with the blood rave in the music. I love the blood rave music in the back, which is not peaceful at all, but I love
Exactly.
it. Okay, Daya Sims asks, can we toast for peace instead of war? 100%.
1000% virtue signaling, because you
1000%.
know what? After she toasted me for peace, she banned me and blocked me. The next morning, I was blocked. So, this is your virtue signaling, medium rare, far left radical people on Twitch. And it's absolutely just amazing to me that people can act this way. I'm sorry, but a person who is away from the situation's judgment is not closer to the truth than people's lived experience inside of the situation. But this is it. People just don't want to see the truth, and guess what? They just ban you the next day before you've had any chance to respond. If they truly wanted peace, wouldn't they be happy about me cheersing them about peace? If they truly were not anti-Semitic, would they still be coming into my streaming and being like, hey, I have a challenge for you. Play dead like that emoji. But you know, about this in various cartoons, characters stick their tongue out after death. And that's a second after I got followed by a person named Gas the Juice. It's absolutely insane to me. But hey, don't call them woke. Do not call them woke. They're not
I had
woke.
no idea, Beast. Also, good to see you. It was because woke sort of thing?
They're not woke.
Oh, is the dev anti-woke? Should I not have given him my money? That's enough for now.
Mm-hmm.
You need to stop.
Definitely. We need to stop. I mean, you need to stop. But hey, you have free choice. God gave you free choice to do as you please. Don't forget that in the end of those free choices, in the end of life, there is going to be judgment from God, though. And the cherry on the top of the cake, UNRWA demands immunity for staffers involved in October 7th. They're not even trying to deny it, so don't be here telling me that it's not true.
In a US court, arguing that UNRWA employees who took part in the October 7th massacre
They
should be
held
immune
hostages
from prosecution.
inside their
According to Israeli media,
facilities.
the filing also has the support of the US Department of Justice. Israel has provided evidence that UNRWA workers committed such atrocities as murder, hostage-taking, and even kidnapping the bodies of the dead and wounded. Well, with us
There's
now,
videos
Hillel
of that
Neuer
kidnapping,
is
by the way.
executive
We all
director
watched
of
it.
UN Watch, United Nations
With the UN
Watch.
truck.
Great to have you with us, Hillel. And I mean, Hillel, as you well know, UNRWA workers are credibly accused of taking part in crimes against humanity.
And this interview is happening while rockets are being sent into the civilian area of northern Israel by a terrorist organization,
How strong is
firing
the UN's
indiscriminately and
argument that they
killing
deserve
children,
immunity?
women and men.
Look, on September...
But you guys don't have a problem with that, do you?
I have the date here. On September 26th, UNRWA announced that they had terminated the contracts of a dozen employees who were accused of being involved in the massacre, and they promised that they would hold them accountable, including, quote, through criminal prosecution. So UNRWA promised that those who were involved in the massacre would be held accountable, including through criminal prosecution. Now, the current proceeding, the legal proceeding that's been referred
Sure,
to, the
we
immunity
believe them.
argument that's been made,
Do we?
to my understanding, it's not specifically about those who took part in the massacre. Rather, it's a lawsuit that sues UNRWA and its senior officials like Lazzarini and his predecessor for being complicit, for enabling Hamas to do all that it has done in the past 10 years to build up the terrorist infrastructure, to put terror tunnels underneath UNRWA's
To teach the
headquarters in
children
Gaza,
to
and that they
hate,
knew
to give
or
them guns from
reasonably
the age of
should have known,
3.
should have reasonably foreseen what they would have done. So to my understanding, the lawsuit that's being referred to is a lawsuit that does not target the individuals who took part in the massacre, but rather the leaders of UNRWA and UNRWA itself, And it's to that.
And you know why I think that is? And this is my opinion now. I'm not stating this as a fact, but it's purely my opinion. I think that if they actually had to do it with the people who were involved in the 7th of October, the number wouldn't have been dozens. It would have been much higher.
Lawsuit that UNRWA has invoked immunity.
Yes.
To my knowledge, there has been yet no criminal prosecution of the individuals involved.
Of course not.
And indeed, UNRWA themselves promised they would hold them accountable to criminal prosecution. So our question is, now that UNRWA they initially fired a dozen, then they again fired 9 of those dozen.
Getting them fired is not enough.
Division of
I'm
the
sorry.
UN Oversight Investigations Division confirmed that there was compelling evidence against at least 9, and about 9 others. There was some evidence.
There it is, the video.
UNRWA hasn't done anything.
That's a dead Jewish man laying there after being slaughtered. Then these 2 men come and take his body with an UNRWA truck.
Hand them over to the United States. The United States does have criminal charges against 6 or 7 Hamas leaders.
His mom had to watch him.
Well, what about the US Department of Justice
dead,
then?
being
Why
kidnapped.
is it supporting UNRWA's defense?
Well, there's
not
a
even being able to
legal,
bury his
technical
body.
aspect here that has to be acknowledged, which that, like it or not, the United Nations enjoys immunity from legal proceedings. This is going back to the UN Charter from 1945. The UN agencies and officials who are performing their functions do have immunity. And so the US State Department is sort of...
Let me ask you something. Do terrorists deserve immunity? That's a real question now.
Fulfilling their technical role of passing on the UN's claim of immunity in this particular lawsuit. And you could say that the State Department is doing a technical function of what they would do kind of in all cases. But there is something odd, of course, in that the U.S. Department of Justice just about 10 days ago, about 2 weeks ago, announced criminal charges against 6 or 7 Hamas leaders. One of them is Ali Baraka.
And those are just
Lebanon.
the leaders.
He's one of the Hamas leaders of Lebanon. And he's named by the Department of Justice for engaging in these crimes against humanity. One of his close colleagues is Fathi al-Sharif, who is the head of the UNRWA Teachers Union. He's principal of the UNRWA Deir Yassin
with the 8,000 teachers over there teaching hate
Sidon, I think, in Lebanon. And he's head of the UNRWA
for
Teachers
Christians
Union,
and Jews.
and appears from all indications to be heavily involved in supporting Hamas terrorism and to be a Hamas official. So should the U.S. government be, on the one hand, dropping criminal charges against Hamas leaders who are very close with UNRWA Teachers Union leaders, and at the same time invoking immunity, certainly there seems to be a disconnect. And again, UNRWA should take the lead and saying anyone involved in terrorism, certainly anyone directly involved in terrorism, should enjoy no immunity, that UNRWA will not invoke immunity and let them be prosecuted.
That's common sense, isn't it?
Found not guilty, fine, but if they're found guilty, UNRWA shouldn't step in and shield these accused terrorists.
But that's what they've been doing for many, many years now. UNRWA has prosecuted Israel many times while not saying a word against the terrorism, barbaric attacks against innocent civilian or innocent soldiers at a time of peace. Imagine granting immunity to terrorists.
Okay,
because you already gave them money, so now all they need is immunity.
Who's billions of dollars eager to spend it? And what, people are too cowardly to reach out and take the money? Not us. Terrorism. Terrorism. Twitch is perfect. You could broadcast it straight into the veins of 18 to 35-year-old men. So here's what I'm suggesting.
And girls.
Hassan Piker. Yeah, we'll get drinks after the show. No, you. He's such a great guy. No,
yeah,
you.
Dan Clancy.
Give it up for Hassan Piker, everybody. Happy birthday, buddy.
Dan Clancy's favorite streamer.
This dude can package anti-Semitism and anti-Americanism
like nobody else.
Like nobody else. In fact, you guys got him on the front page. And he's doing terrorism for free. Basically, gentlemen and gentle ladies, Frogan, you look good today, girl.
Babe?
Girl, you look good. Great job on that Arab tier list. That was good. How much we get for that? Yo, you got 10 million from Qatar for that? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
That's how it goes, folks.
Here's the thing. With help from people like Hassan, terrorism is like in the eyes of the beholder, right? They're not terrorists, they're, go ahead,
Musical geniuses.
freedom fighters.
Oh
guys.
yeah, sure.
We are
Yeah,
fighting
that.
for
That too.
freedom. What about the rapes and the murders? Don't mention that. What's wrong with you? And another one. The resistance isn't
not
perfect. Right? Gotta crack some eggs, man. Hassan.
Imagine what's perfect though. Twitch. The perfect place to be. Not for long for terrorist supporters. In Jesus' name.